Hey everybody, this is Brian Bergford with Bergford Performance Systems. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I just wanted to bring you some content about a subject that impacts every single one of us that's watching this video, and that is the fact that the world today is changing at a blistering pace. I mean, you think about the pace of change now compared to 100 years ago, even 50 years ago, 10 years ago. I mean, we're in a completely different stratosphere today in terms of the speed at which things are happening, and it's affecting all of us in many, many ways. But I want to touch on a few key things here, and I believe that first and foremost, I'm putting this again at the top of this video for a reason, because I believe it's the most important. I think today, because of the speed at which things are happening in all of our lives with so much coming at us, it's the most important time in history for us to have a practice of slowing down, of taking time and setting time aside to just get regrounded and recentered. You know what I find really interesting is that the key executives, I mean the top executives at Silicon Valley companies, CEOs, they have technology Sabbaths. You know, they shut their phones down, they don't check emails, they purposely spend time away from technology and all the things that just keep us running so fast and at a frenetic pace, because they understand the importance of that. And these are not people with a lot of extra time, but they take time because they recognize that they're going to be more effective when they take care of themselves, when they have time to reflect and contemplate and really plan intelligently without constantly being bombarded by all the things we have coming at us today. And I think that's a critical thing. A lot of these most successful, most effective executives also set aside blocks of time every single day during the week, or an hour where they might just have thinking time, where nothing else is going on and they're not going to have any interruptions, right? It's basically do not disturb, because I'm thinking, I'm planning, I'm being strategic. And these are people that could very easily get caught up in what I think a lot of us are prone to do. And it's very tempting to just get drawn into thinking about, gosh, I've got 15 different things I really need to get taken care of, and if I take time out, I'm going to be that much farther behind. But I don't think anything could be further from the truth. And again, I think we've got to take this very seriously today more than ever in our history. There's many reasons for it. One of the key elements is just our health. We need time to replenish and rejuvenate, and also to just be sharp. You know, there's different ways to do it. Some people, it's taking a walk in nature. That's something that really allows them to kind of just dial it back and decompress a little bit and get some perspective on things. Other people, it's meditation. Other people, it's prayer. Whatever it is for you, but the key is we need to do these things and put them in our schedule and make sure that nothing interferes with it. You know, the amount of research and the studies that have been done on the benefits of something like meditation in terms of just your body and well-being and your cognitive faculties and how it enhances all of that. So important. And the other piece of it is just, again, allowing yourself the space for contemplation and really just laying everything aside and saying, you know what, let's get back to what's most important. Let me focus on that. What am I really after? What are my priorities right now? Who is most important in my life? What's most important to me at its core, at its essence? And staying in touch with those pieces. And when we slow down all the world and the chatter around us, it gives us an opportunity to get back to the most important things. And unfortunately, if we don't do that, we're just going to get, oftentimes, I know I have just swept away in the stream of the constant grind that is all around us, especially in today's day and age. But when we, again, set aside time to contemplate and, again, get focused on what's most important, our priorities, our values, so that we can make good decisions. And maybe one way to think about this would be, like, have you ever had your computer where you've got, like, a bunch of different windows open? You got 10 different windows, you got videos on one, you got spreadsheets going, you got email over here, etc., etc. And at a certain point, doesn't the computer just get really sluggish. And what's interesting is the harder, at least for me, I've tried to grind it out in those situations, the worse it gets, right? I put in more and more effort, but for diminishing returns because the computer just gets more and more sluggish. And what do we do in that case? Now, some people keep going and pushing and pushing and pushing, which is not a smart thing to do. But if you use your brain, what do? You restart the computer, at least close the windows, see if that helps close some of the windows. But a lot of times you really need to restart the computer or maybe just shut it down and give it a few minutes. And I don't know necessarily why it works in computers this way, but even once you boot the computer back up and reopen all the same windows, it works faster. And I know in the human brain, that is very much the case as well, okay? If we kind of decompress and take the time to just reset, when we go back and re-engage the activities, especially when we've clarified where we want to go and what our priorities are, man, we get so much more done by taking some time aside and just closing all those extra sort of windows in our mind so we can recalibrate, refocus, re-aim, and move forward with greater power. So that's the first main tenet that I wanted to bring up. The next one is, I think, really obvious, and we know about it, but in a world that's changing very quickly, we have to be adaptive and have a willingness to change. Do you know anybody in your life that does not take change well? Like, have anybody at work that almost has a coronary every time something changes or there's a new initiative and they just start to freak out and go on tilt? And it's like, dude, you're going to become a dinosaur. You're going to become extinct. You got to like relax. You got to roll with that a little bit. I don't think any of us is madly in love with constant change. Okay, in the workplace, in the home, any of those places, but we have to recognize that life is moving at a pace that's faster than it ever has before, which is why it's so important to slow down like we just talked about, but also to be able to adapt and to roll with things, because we've got to either adapt or we become obsolete. Right? Those are our choices. And so I'd encourage you to really embrace change, because we're either going to embrace it or we're going to resist it. And it is a choice. And one of those leads to becoming obsolete and extinct. And the other choice leads to greater levels of fulfillment and rolling with things and growing with the world around us so that we can take advantage of the opportunities. Because with all these challenges that come about with the fast-paced world that we're in, with technology changing the way we even communicate with each other, but there's tremendous opportunities in that as well. And I really believe that the world, especially in the future, is going to belong to those people who choose, who make a conscious decision to focus on what are my opportunities here? Instead of getting caught up in like, oh my gosh, all the crazy things that are happening and all the disadvantages, but the people that ask, what are the opportunities here and what are other people missing that I could see? Because it's those people that are going to do incredible in business, that are going to do incredible in life, that are going to be able to adapt and move forward in a productive way and keeping all their joy without getting bogged down in complaining about the nature of things and the state of change right now. Like, it is what it is, right? So being adaptive, so critically important. And one other thing, the story real quick, before I kind of wrap this up, this was a really interesting experience for me. So I don't know about you, but every time I wanted to, or I was looking at new phones, I was really excited about it because I had this old like hunk of junk that was just slow and I was over it, right? I was sick and tired. It didn't work. It wasn't giving me what I needed. And so I couldn't wait to get, you know, my phone contract up so I could re-up and get a new phone. Well, the last time this happened, I actually had a tough time with it. I loved the last phone I had. I mean, it was just a good phone. It worked. It did what I needed it to do. I love this thing. And I had a really challenging time moving to a new phone platform. I mean, I had this phone years than any other cell phone that I had ever had. And I finally got to the point where I realized, you know what? I am holding on to this thing because I'm comfortable with it, and it's still working for me, but I'm losing ground. I mean, there's all these new features and functionality that I could get with a new phone, and I really need to upgrade. And I realized, you know what, you certainly can't have two phones, certainly not with one cell phone number, and I had to make a choice. Like, stay with the old thing that's still working for me, or move to something new that I know is going to be better. And that was a really tough choice for me, a very odd experience, but a very important experience to have. And so it really made me look at, you know, what other areas or places in my life am I maybe playing small because I've got something that's still working for me and it's functional, but if I would just let that go and move on to the new, I could slingshot forward and get to where I want to go much more powerfully, much quicker, more efficiently, with greater connection. And so I would just encourage you to think about that a little bit, and whatever key points that you're taking away from this video, make sure to jot those down. Put them in your calendar. Maybe over the next week, just review that every morning so you're thinking about it throughout the day, and you start to really integrate these things into your system and get the most benefit out of this. And if you enjoy this video, if you got something out of it, if it added value to you, pass it along, pay it forward to somebody else, share it with a friend, and make sure you subscribe if you haven't already to our YouTube channel so you're notified when all the new videos come out. All right, guys, I appreciate you. I'm so happy to be with you, as I always am, and always remember, do the impossible.